The last moments of Dikembe Mutombo are still difficult to comprehend. How he spent those final days was a true nightmare, and his death remains one of the most tragic losses the NBA has ever experienced. Brain cancer took its toll on him, and despite fighting with all his strength, it was a battle that slowly drained him of everything, leaving him defeated.
We have some sad breaking news from the world of sports. Legendary NBA player Dikembe Mutombo has died at 58 years old.
In October 2022, Dikembe Mutombo's family shared some tough news. He was dealing with a brain tumor and had started treatment. For nearly 2 years, he stayed strong and did his best to face it head-on. But on September 30th, 2024, the fight came to an end. He passed away in Atlanta at 58, with people around him who knew how much he had done, both in basketball and in life. Let's take a trip back to where it all began for Dikembe Mutombo, a player whose career was filled with iconic moments and unforgettable memories that still live on.
That's a fifth floor problem.
Not in my house. Here he goes. Put your hands together, bro.
It all started in the 1991 NBA draft, when the Denver Nuggets picked him 4th overall, a choice that would shape the NBA for years. At the time, the Nuggets were struggling defensively, ranking last in opponent points per game and defensive rating. But Mutombo, with his massive presence and shot-blocking ability, made an immediate impact. His defense wasn't just good, it was game-changing. The league quickly noticed. But what really made Mutombo stand out was his personality. In 1992, he introduced his signature move, the finger wag. After every block, he'd point his right index finger at the opponent and shake it side to side, letting them know they'd been denied. It wasn't just a fun celebration. It was a way for Mutombo to market himself and land endorsement deals. In fact, that year, he starred in a memorable Adidas commercial where he declared, "Man does not fly in the house of Mutombo," a reference to his shot-blocking dominance. From the get-go, Mutombo was more than just a defensive force. As a rookie, he made the All-Star team, averaging 16.6 points, 12.3 rebounds, and nearly 3 blocks per game. He quickly established himself as one of the league's top defenders, regularly posting big numbers in both rebounds and blocks. The NBA hadn't seen a player quite like him in years, and he was just getting started. The 1993-94 season was a major turning point for the Nuggets. With Mutombo anchoring the defense, Denver finished the regular season with a 42-40 record, qualifying for the playoffs. But they weren't just any playoff team, they were about to make history. In the first round, they were matched up with the top-seeded Seattle Supersonics, a team that finished with a league-best 63-19 record. The Nuggets fell behind 0-2 in the 5-game series, but they weren't ready to give up. They went on to win the next 3 games, pulling off one of the biggest upsets in NBA history. Mutombo's presence was key to that victory, recording 31 blocks, which remains a record for a 5-game series. At the end of Game 5, he grabbed the game-winning rebound and fell to the floor, holding the ball over his head in celebration. The Nuggets had become the first 8th seed to defeat a #1 seed in NBA playoff history. Despite the upset, the Nuggets couldn't quite get past the Utah Jazz in the second round, losing in 7 games. But Mutombo's defensive dominance was undeniable, and he had already proven that he was more than capable of leading a team. The next season, Mutombo made his second All-Star appearance and also won the NBA Defensive Player of the Year award. Yet despite his individual success, the Nuggets struggled to build a winning team around him. By the end of the 1995-96 season, Mutombo was set to become a free agent. The Nuggets reportedly couldn't offer him the 10-year deal he wanted, and general manager Bernie Bickerstaff later admitted that not re-signing Mutombo was his biggest regret. After the season, Mutombo signed a 5-year, $55 million contract with the Atlanta Hawks. In Atlanta, he continued to shine, leading the Hawks to back-to-back 50-win seasons in 1996-97 and 1997-98. He won Defensive Player of the Year in both seasons and was a dominant force on the boards and in the paint. In the 1997 NBA playoffs, the Hawks defeated the Detroit Pistons in 5 games, with Mutombo putting up an incredible 26 points and 15 rebounds in Game 1. But despite his individual success, the Hawks couldn't get past the Chicago Bulls in the next round, losing in 5 games. The following year, in 1998, Mutombo put up a massive performance in a game against the Indiana Pacers, scoring 20 points and grabbing 24 rebounds. But the season ended in disappointment for the Hawks as they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Charlotte Hornets. Despite the setbacks, Mutombo continued to shine as one of the league's best defenders. During the lockout-shortened 1998-99 season, he won the NBA's IBM Award, a Player of the Year honor determined by a computerized formula. However, the league also banned his famous finger wag, a move Mutombo initially protested before eventually complying with the new rule. By the time the 1999-2000 season came around, Mutombo was still one of the top big men in the league. He averaged a career-high 14.1 rebounds per game and 3.3 blocks per game. In a game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, he went 11 for 11 from the field, scoring 27 points, grabbing 29 rebounds, and blocking 6 shots. It was a performance that reminded everyone just how dominant he could be. But despite his incredible individual numbers, the Hawks decided to trade him to the Philadelphia 76ers at the 2001 trade deadline. The trade was a game-changer for the Sixers, who were looking for a big man to help them compete for a championship. Mutombo joined forces with Allen Iverson, and the two became a dynamic duo. Mutombo earned his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award that season, and during the 2001 playoffs, he helped the Sixers reach the NBA Finals. Along the way, they defeated the Indiana Pacers, Toronto Raptors, and Milwaukee Bucks, with Mutombo putting up monster performances, including a 23-point, 19-rebound, 7-block game in Game 7 against the Bucks. In the NBA Finals, the Sixers pulled off an upset by winning Game 1 against the Los Angeles Lakers, the only game the Lakers lost during their dominant playoff run. However, the Sixers would lose the next 4 games, and the Lakers claimed the championship. Despite the loss, Mutombo was outstanding, averaging 16.8 points, 12.2 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks per game against Shaquille O'Neal in the finals. Mutombo re-signed with the Sixers after the season, but by the 2001-2 season, his best years were behind him. He averaged double digits in points and rebounds for the last time, but the Sixers lost in the first round of the playoffs. He then found himself traded to the New Jersey Nets on August 7, 2002, in exchange for Keith Van Horn and Todd McCulloch. The Nets, coming off a tough finals loss to the Lakers, saw Mutombo as the key to pushing them to the next level. He was brought in to match up with Shaq, much like the Sixers did a couple of years earlier. Unfortunately, Mutombo wasn't able to stay healthy, battling a wrist injury that limited him to just 24 games that season. When the Nets made their 2nd straight finals appearance, Mutombo could only contribute in small doses, mostly as a 6th man, and they ended up losing to the Spurs in 6 games. After a frustrating season in New Jersey, the Nets bought out the rest of Mutombo's contract, and in October 2003, he signed with the New York Knicks for 2 years. It didn't take long for Mutombo to remind everyone of his presence. After a dominant performance against the Nets, including 10 blocks, Knicks fans started waving their fingers, mimicking his iconic celebration. Mutombo didn't shy away from it, responding with his own finger wag when the league made it clear it wouldn't punish him for the gesture. Mutombo's career later led him to Chicago and then to Houston, where he teamed up with Yao Ming. Even in his later years, he was still making an impact. In 2007, at the age of 40, he became the oldest player to grab more than 20 rebounds in a game. That year, he helped the Rockets build a 22-game winning streak, stepping up when Yao was injured. After considering retirement, Mutombo made his farewell tour official in 2008, signing with the Rockets for one final season. Unfortunately, his career ended abruptly after a knee injury in the playoffs in 2009, and he officially retired later that year, closing the book on an incredible 18-year career. It is important to know that Mutombo's impact went beyond basketball. His humanitarian efforts were just as important as any shot or rebound. In 1997, he founded the Dikembe Mutombo Foundation, aiming to improve life in his home country, the Democratic Republic of Congo. His efforts earned him numerous accolades, including the NBA's J. Walter Kennedy Citizenship Award in 2001 and 2009, and the President's Service Award in 1999. Mutombo also played a key role in programs like Basketball Without Borders and supported the Special Olympics as a global ambassador. But his biggest legacy might be the Biamba Marie Mutombo Hospital in Kinshasa, named after his late mother. After overcoming numerous challenges, Including securing funding and dealing with government roadblocks, the hospital opened in 2007 as the first modern facility in the area in decades. It serves a population that lives in poverty, providing critical healthcare to those who need it most. Mutombo's work, from healthcare to education, has left a lasting mark on his community, showing how one man's vision can change the lives of so many. And that's a wrap for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an update. While you're at it, drop a comment below and let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your thoughts.